This regular session of September 26th to order. Would you please read the roll?
Haig.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of September 12th regular session.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Haig.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. This time, I move that we open the public hearing to consider sanitary sewers and rezoning of property.
Second.
Haig.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. At this time, we're going to consider a change in the sanitary sewer use charge rates. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. As we discussed in the budget preparation, that the wastewater rates would be adjusted for operations, maintenance, repairs, capital. And to cover the details of the changes, Roger Haynes.
Good evening, Council. A notice of the public hearing was advertised on August 20th. That is a requirement by DNR that be advertised 30 days prior to the public hearing. Staff will be recommending a change in the overall sewer rate of approximately 8% for this next fiscal year. The user charge portion of that rate per 1,000 gallons will go from $1.34 to $1.44. The capital charge portion will go from $5.75 to $6.21, and the base rate per month will go from $9.09 to $9.82. Based on an average use of 5,000 gallons per month, the current rate is $44.54. The proposed rate would be $48.07. That's a $3.53 per month adjustment. Also, users of the utility collection system that are located or deliver sewer flow from outside the city's corporate limits shall be billed at a rate of 200% of rates established for user types based on monthly metered water flow received from those flow contributors within the city's corporate limits. This is a move from 150% charge to 200% charge for those receiving those services. As a little bit of background for the public and why we go through this analysis each year is back in 2008, we did hire Warner and Schifrin to do a facility plan analysis to look at not only our plant but our collection system. They did come up with a three-phase plan to make significant improvements. In 2009, that was presented to council, and then the outline cost was approximately $12,461,000. That was a three-phase process. We did issue bonds to take care of phase one and phase two, and those bonds were issued in 2010 and 2011. The city was fortunate enough in 2020 to take advantage of refunding those bonds to get a much lower rate, which subsequently lowered the annual bond payment and reduced the payout term. It is important to note, too, with us asking for this adjustment, we did not have any adjustment in the fiscal year 2021, as you may recall, due to our thoughts of the impact that COVID might have on employment income for our area residents. As far as the third phase, rather than issuing more bonds, we decided to not take on the additional debt, but tackle additional needs for capital improvements by priority ranking each need and putting into effect pay-as-you-go tactic where cash is reserved and then drawn down for anticipated capital outlays. From 2015 to 2021, the City of Mexico has been able to fund in excess $4.1 million of capital improvements and equipment without additional borrowing. It is estimated that this fiscal year we're in now, in coupling with the fiscal 2023 fiscal year, we will be able to do another $1.2 million worth of capital improvements and equipment purchases, again, without borrowing. Plus, we will be transferring $650,000 from the Wastewater Capital Project Fund, of which $500,000 is pulled from reserves to hopefully match a grant that we have in the application process at this time. In addition to annual debt service payments and cash funded capital outlay, Wastewater fees must be adequate to cover costs associated with daily operations, maintenance of equipment, repair, renewal, and replacement reserves. And I have prepared a short PowerPoint to go over some of those costs. And you have before you, council, also some detail that shows how we've come up with some of these costs. There's like 19 different pages of Excel that feed forward to provide those pages you have in front of you. As you can see, it gives you some historical numbers and projecting out 5 years on future numbers. Of course, that is very fluid. Rate adjustment considerations, as previously discussed, for sanitary sewer operations, take the following expenditures into consideration. Operation and maintenance, that's our daily cost of maintaining equipment and running the facility. Cash-funded capital outlays for plant structures, collection system, vehicles, and equipment. Debt service obligations, payments on revenue bonds. And then repair, renewal, and replacement reserve, where we're setting money back to take care of things we know that will be coming up in the future as we operate such a heavily equipmentized facility such as our wastewater treatment plant. For the 2022 and 23, we have cash-funded improvements, capital improvements of $622,150. Of that, $150,000 will be for hopefully matching a grant that we have an application for, which will certainly save all of us quite a bit of money in the future if we can leverage that into a grant. We also have $136,000 for facility pumps out at the maintenance facility, and I think a rail system for the wet well. We have a vehicle that we were unable to purchase last year that we'll purchase this year. And then, of course, slip lining, we are taking that down to $100,000 this upcoming fiscal year because we are putting $150,000 of cash toward the grant match. If we were not to get that grant, then we would probably add that money to the CIPP plan to continue to move forward. And then we project out some estimates, 24 through 27. Again, that's very fluid. It just depends on what new items come up and how we prioritize those whenever we develop future budgets. Annual debt service, this year, this next fiscal year, we will have $748,000 in debt service to pay the bonds that were issued. And of course, you can see that carries out fairly consistently for the next several years. Our last full payment will be in 2031, and then a final payment is made in 2032, and that's like for $50,000. So it's quite a bit less than the $750,000 it will be between next year and 2031. This kind of gives a summary of those costs, and this is those detail sheets you have will show you these numbers. Operating and maintenance expenditures, $1.8 million. Cash funded capital expenditures, including that $150,000 transfer to grant match, $622,150. Our debt service of approximately $750,000, and then of course our grant cash match is being moved to the wastewater capital improvements fund of $500,000 plus $80,000 reserves, giving us that total of $3.8 million in expenditures. Our revenues, again with the adjustment in rates, our fees will bring in about $3.2 million. We are designating some ARPA revenue to replace some funds lost with potential lost revenue at the hospital. And that shows a cash pull down of approximately $425,000 for the course of the year. And of course, this is the rate projections showing the 8% adjustment in the three areas that we discussed earlier. And that's where we come up with a $5,000 average usage per month, that fee would go to $48.07. We also did a survey of 12 other communities to see where they are on their rates. These are the rates that we have from the state. I do know that in conversation with some of the finance directors that there are rate adjustments coming up within the next few months, but I really can't post those on the survey because they're not official yet. You will see that our proposed rate is very much in line with the current rate of Fulton and Hannibal, Jefferson City, Marshall, and also Troy. You will see some that the blue is the cost to non-commercial, call it residentials, and then the orange or red, whichever color you want to pick from that, since I don't see those colors very well, show what the rate is based to non-residential customers. Some cities elect to put more on the non-residential and less on the residential, and they have their reasons for doing so, depending on the makeup of their community. And most importantly, I restate this every year, that we have the bonds out there, and we are required to make sure that the rate that we provide as far as fees allows us to take care of business with the wastewater operations and provide 110% of debt service requirement for each fiscal year. And basically, if we did not meet that requirement, the covenant requires that we would hire an outside firm to come in and do a study and tell us what kind of rate we need to charge to get in alignment with the covenant requirements. So that's why we're very careful to go through a thorough examination of our cost and projections to make sure we don't have to go out and hire someone to tell us to do what we know how to figure out ourselves. I'd be glad to answer any questions the public may have.
Questions from the council?
So
Go ahead.
So I was looking, so fiscal year of 2021 to 2022, you're looking at for $700,000 increase that's not going away. So what was that? Because it continues out, it went from 2.6 to 3.3, 3.2 next year, 3.2, 3.5. Like, so what was why was there that jump, and what is that continuing to
Okay,
go
which
forward?
schedule are you looking at?
The last one, last page, the user rate page. And it says required revenue. And then 21, it went from 2.6 to 22, it went to 3.3, which showed a deficit, but, so I'm assuming something we changed there. I mean, $700,000, and that doesn't go away. So why is that? What is that? And why is that?
Okay, in 21, a good portion of that was capital projects that we had originally scheduled that did not get completed, so they're pushed into the next year. And we try to schedule to where we can pay with cash somewhere between $500,000 and $600,000 a year for capital outlay, just so that we don't get behind on the improvements that are needed to be taken care of. So that's why you have it jump up significantly from 21 to 22. Now, at this point, 21 would be actuals. 22 is estimates until we finish fiscal year 22. You know, that deficit may not be as large this year, but it could be larger next year because of carryover projects.
And what would you say that we lost in revenue? I'm going to assume, for people that don't know, I mean, part of this is because we have lost 3 major players, right? In the revenue stream.
2, one for certain, one for close to certain, and one we don't know yet. The one for certain was the loss of Teva. They would typically bring into the wastewater operations about $200,000 plus in revenue, which based on an average household, that's equivalent to about 370 households. And then we have the hospital situation. If that indeed does not resurrect, then that's another, $110,000 to $170,000 a year. So you're looking at an equivalent of about 200 households. Then the third is, of course, with Rise Bakery. We have a new employer out there, but we don't have enough information under our belt yet to know if they're going to be the same, as heavy a user as what Rise Bakery or Dawn Foods was previous to them.
I just wanted some public would know, I mean, this is part of the reason that I don't like doing a 10% rate hike either, but, it's It's just an explanation, we
Yeah,
lost
certainly.
probably $500,000, would you say, in between the three of them last year, or this year, planning on it. Maybe we get less, maybe.
Yeah, it depends on which year we look at, but I'd say, you could look at anywhere from 350 to $500,000. And the $500,000 year was the last year that Teva was in production. They really ramped up their production to fulfill all of their orders. So, that was a $300,000 a year of revenue from them, where typically it would be more like $200,000 or a little bit more.
Thank you, Roger.
You're welcome.
Other questions in council? If not, we'll open this to the public. If you'd like to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address. Try to hold your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing no one come, we'll go to rezoning property located at Teal Lake Road between Fairground Street and South Clark. Mr. Slagle.
Marcy, should we close this hearing officially and reopen?
You need to close that
I
one?
think we
Close
do,
this
sir.
one and then reopen the other one for the,
I move we close the public hearing on the sanitary sewer use charge rates.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs. Yes. Shivers. Yes. Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Move we open the public hearing to rezone property located north of Teal Lake Road between Fairground Street and South Clark Street. Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs. Yes. Shivers. Yes. Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Mr. Slagle.
Yes.
Mr. Hagel. Mr. Slagle.
we do have a request to rezone some property, which would produce a housing development, and I think we all know we do have a need for quality, affordable housing in our community. So, to cover the details of the public hearing, Rita Jackson.
Good evening, council. This public hearing concerns a request from Seidenstricker Properties LLC to rezone approximately 7.03 acres of property located adjacent to Till Lake Village, that is within the boundaries created by Till Lake Road to the south, Amelia Drive to the west, Lakeview Park to the north, and South Clark Street to the east, from R1 Single Family District to R3A Multifamily District. This rezoning would allow for the development of Till Lake Estates Phase 2. This development would consist of 28 two-bedroom units and 12 three-bedroom duplexes. City staff sent notices to 6 surrounding property owners within 300 feet of the requested rezoning, which included Missouri American Water, Union Electric, Ameren Corporation, Nancy Akron, East Central Behavioral Health Services, Inc., Till Lake Village, and the City of Mexico. City staff received one response. That was from Nancy Akron. She had questions regarding the development and the entrance into the property. Mrs. Akron also attended our planning and zoning meeting when we had it on September the 6th. She did indicate at the end of that meeting that her questions had been answered. The city's comprehensive plan shows this area as neighborhood, which is basically low to medium density residential mixed, which this classification represents single-family dwelling, two-family dwelling, and multifamily attached buildings. At the September 2nd, at the September 6, 2022 Planning and Zoning meeting, the commission made a motion to grant approval of the requested rezoning and make recommendations to City Council. We do have in the audience Pete Ramsell, which is the developer of that development, and city staff recommends that council proceed with the advertised public hearing.
Questions for Rita?
But it's Seidenstricker that's asking for rezoning, correct?
The rezoning has to come from the property owner. Mr. Ramsell is in the process. He's a potential buyer.
Other questions for the council?
I don't have any questions about the rezoning. The concern for me becomes as we start to develop these multi-family homes here is the same concern we had, as we still have that today, is that Teal Lake Road is very busy, and we really need, I believe we really need to look at, I mean, if we're going to continue to pop these up, then there needs to be some serious talk about sidewalks and stuff down Teal Lake
Put it
Road.
in when they build on that road.
Well, down Teal Lake, all the way down
They
Teal
just
Lake.
Put it up just in
We're
front.
gonna have to, we just have to, we need to, we've talked about it.
I mean, I know they'll do their due diligence on where those housing units will go. The thing is that there'll be now even more people that will be walking Teal Lake Road and doing that within that area. And, you know, I'm sure we'll go through with the rezoning, but I think it's something that we really need to talk about as we move forward, because I'm assuming they're going to double the amount of units there, correct? You're going to double the amount of units the same?
40 units,
Okay,
28 two-bedrooms, and 12 three-bedrooms.
okay, yeah. I mean, as this as more people get there, more people walking somewhere or doing that, just staying safe and within that area, so, but that's, I mean, that's in the future, of course, when I just think it's something we need to put on our list down the road once they start going. How quickly do you think you'll start going after?
We're going to get him up there to give us all this information.
Oh, what?
We'll get him up there to give us all this information here.
Oh, okay.
We're just rezoning tonight.
Pete, you can stay at this time if you're finished reading.
Yes, I'm finished.
Okay.
Just going to answer to your question, that the development, they have to submit plans for the utilities, infrastructure, and the housing,
Yeah.
which have to be approved, and sidewalks is a requirement.
Well, and I'm talking down Teal Lake,
Teal
like,
Lake and all.
if they want to walk to McDonald's, then instead of walking down the road, that we have sufficient access, you know, so that people are not, I mean, I understand within their development, they're going to do all their due diligence of what they did on the last one, but I'm just saying, walking down that road, so in doing that, I'm just,
We had this conversation last time.
Yeah.
And the problem is, for those of you that are not keen to that area, is now a lot of the people that live there, you know, when it came, it was workforce housing, and we had one definition of workforce housing, and it turned into a different definition of workforce housing, because a big part of the people there are on some kind of assistance. A lot of those people don't have cars because they walk up and down constantly. I see them, they come to my store. There's kids that are walking up and down from there now. And so you want to add a whole bunch more to it, I think then part of that also needs to be, and that's not on you, but part of that on us is that we have to look out for the safety of these people, and we've got to figure out how to do a sidewalk. If we're going to keep growing this area and putting kids and stuff in this area, then we owe it to these people to do that. And if we don't, if we can't do it or we don't want to do it, then we need to rethink what we're doing as far as growing out there. Because it is a miracle to me that a kid or something hasn't been hit down there yet. Because I go down there at night sometimes, and they aren't wearing reflective gear. They're not doing anything. They're just walking down the road. So that's neither here nor there. Not you. Not you.
That's our problem.
us.
We've been talking about that too.
Yep.
Okay, Pete, would you like to take it from
That the city council will never
Yeah.
say you can build a section with no sidewalks like they did. That's just ridiculous.
I know it does, but does that blue section have an entryway then into Teal Lake? Is there a road coming out of the top, the yellow section? And then
There's a road in the middle of the yellow section, which...
Yeah, I know that, but
There's not anything at the top. There's probably be one at the bottom, probably.
she's asking, is there going to be a same entrance off Teal Lake Road like the yellow one has, right?
you have an entry into, see the blue area and the yellow area? There's an entryway from Teal Lake Road into that blue section, right? It will,
If I may,
Yeah,
just
certainly.
take you to this page right here. It's about to
Okay.
be, pardon me, Senator don't work well. It's about the 5th or 6th page.
there we go.
Obviously, we have the entrance to Teal Lake, the original entrance off of the phase 1. And then we have the east-west street that we put in. And we are not going out onto the lake this time. So basically what we're trying to do is truly make this a phase 2. We've got the office and community building over on phase 1. We've got the deadheads on phase 2, as you can see there. We want the traffic flow to go back over to phase 1 and out, or go straight out, because that street is through now. It goes all the way.
I know
West
that,
Street.
yeah.
So that's what we're proposing.
Any other questions for him?
I just briefly wanted to take you through this. We talk about workforce housing, we talked about it before, you've heard that. The first page, obviously, is just a rendering. The second page is a little bit significant, and I wanted to talk to you about that, because that truly shows the site and the relationship with the industrial park. And I thought you might be interested. I have a letter, I've included the letter from True Manufacturing, the need for workforce housing, and the amount of expansion that they have going on and the additional people that they're going to be hiring. We will market to the industrial park very actively. We've already started and we will continue. The next page basically shows you the site, both sites, just a good aerial picture. I thought might be significant to y'all. The next page is the page that we just mentioned. It has a lot of information over here to the side. Again, we're doing 28 two-bedrooms and only 12 three-bedrooms. There is, I believe, 11 buildings. And so we get into square footage, we get into parking, and all that information is presented right there.
No garages on these
Yeah,
units?
So these won't be two-story then,
Yeah,
right?
these are going to be single-story on purpose.
No garages then,
No
just parking.
garages.
Okay.
Here's the rendering of the building, the next page over. So we have a combination of fourplexes and two duplexes. So the 11 fourplexes and 2 duplexes. The duplex is showed on the next page, the rendering. And then people are always interested in the unit itself. Again, 2-bedroom. It's a good size unit. It's over 1,000 square feet. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. All the appliances will be furnished, including washer and dryer. And then there's a 3-bedroom rendering there as well, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So that's kind of what we're proposing. Make sure I communicate clearly, and I apologize because I didn't the last time, so that's on me. We have 10 workforce units, and what that means is those 10 units will be at a higher income, which is 80% of median income. The majority of the units will be at 60% of median income. So 10 workforce units. So when I talk about workforce housing, I just wanted to make sure that I made that statement and everybody understood that there are the higher income units and the balance fixed.
I have 2 of them.
I'm sorry.
I have 2 of them. You may want one back. Somehow I got 2.
Okay. So I'll just try to answer all your questions.
Any questions for him?
Well, I'm still looking at this and wondering about the traffic design on it. You've got traffic coming in on Teal Lake, you've got the other one up here.
Correct.
Okay, but they come in here and then they kind of get caught back in there, and you don't think that's any sort of, in the long run, is that the way that's...
We actually like the privacy and we like the control. And it's all about security, cameras and everything that we're going to provide for security, and controlling the tenants and to a certain extent, making them use the main drive out to Teal Lake, I think is significant. You control the traffic, you control the people flowing through there. Eventually, I think that east-west street, I think everybody agrees that this will be extended all the way over to the highway. Yes.
All the way over like that.
The other thing that I will mention is there's not sewer there, so we're bringing the sewer in. We're not trying to connect to the existing sewer that's in Phase 1. We spent a lot of money, lift stations and other things, making that sewer work on that Phase 1. We're bringing the sewer in from, do you call that 22?
Clark. South Clark.
South Clark.
Thank you, South Clark. So we're bringing 2,000 feet of sewer from South Clark over to serve this property. We've run that by the staff. We had option 1 and option 2. We kind of worked that to death. We've had our civil engineer involved, and it just got to the point where we just need to pay the price and run that sewer in. And that certainly could help for future development, not only what we're doing, but what's the potential for the development of that, the rest of the balance of that site.
Questions? If none, thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. If anybody else would like to come to the podium and have a question or statement, please come forward, state your name and address, and try to hold your comments to 3 minutes.
My name is Sterling Oliver, 303 West Teal Lake Road, Mexico, and I'm glad that we're going to be able to offer additional affordable housing options in this town. That's something that's needed, and I'm much in favor of it. However, as we increase population density above what had originally been considered, I guess this was, or is now zoned R1. 3 things come to my mind is I want to make sure that we look at stormwater runoff. We identify any issues that might come about as a result of increasing density. We just did talk about sewer capacity. I want to make sure we look at that as we increase our density and traffic flows, and in particular the Teal Lake Road South Clark intersection. Those 3 things I want to make sure we look at. But again, I'm glad we're going to be able to afford or offer additional housing options.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Sterling.
Can I ask, since he brought it up, it's a good point. That intersection is part of the traffic study we're doing, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I was going to comment on that. That's a good point.
Okay.
Is, Sterling, just so you know as well, we applied for and did receive what they call a grant from DOT, and that is the TAP grant, or the TEEP, for the study.
The study is TEEP, and we just applied for it.
We haven't, I thought we got notice of that.
The TAP grant.
For the sidewalks we got.
Yeah.
But the TEEP grant that we're looking at is studying that from that intersection going south, basically down to Pearl Motor area. And what that is working with the DOT to look at how that particular section, because of the traffic flows, how that can be improved. And so we're already starting to plan to look at that, because we already recognize there's issues, and you're right. If you build this area out, that will add to those, and that becomes more important.
Anybody else want to come forward to the public hearing? Seeing no one, I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Hay.
Yes.
Briggs. Yes. Shivers. Yes. Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is new business ordinances. Bill number 202249, an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Article 3, Division 4, Section 40, 160A, and Section 40, 160A4 of the Mexico City Code related to sanitary sewer use. Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Your Honor. If, unless council, you have any additional questions from the public hearing that we held earlier, otherwise, we'd recommend the council proceed with 2 readings by title only and passage of the attached ordinance, and the ordinance has been posted its required length of time.
I move for first reading Bill number 2022-49.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Yes.
Miller.
Bill number 2022-49, an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Article 3, Division 4, Section 4160A and Section 4160A4 of the Mexico City Code relating to sanitary sewer use charge. I move for second reading of Bill number 2022-49.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2022-49, an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Article 3, Division 4, Section 4160A and Section 4160A4 of the Mexico City Code relating to sanitary sewer use charge. I move for passage of Bill number 2022-49.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs. Shivers.
Yes.
Williams. Miller.
Yes. Next item is Bill number 2022-50, an ordinance amending the district map referred to in Section 42-204 of the Code of City of Mexico, Missouri zoning to R3A Multiple Family District. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. Again, held in the public hearing earlier this evening. Unless you have any questions, again, staff would recommend council proceed with two readings by title only and passage of the attached ordinance. And this ordinance has also been posted its required length of time.
Yes. Pete, thanks for coming. Thanks for telling us about the workforce housing. Appreciate that. I support what you guys are doing out there, trying to grow the thing. I will say that I'm going to support this tonight, but I think going forward, I will not support any more growth out there until we get some kind of resolution with the sidewalks in that intersection, because I think if we keep adding people out there without addressing that, we're only causing safety issues, and that is part of our job as a council, is to make sure our citizens are safe. So it's that.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to read Bill number 2022-50.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs. Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2022-50, an ordinance rezoning 7.03 acres located to the immediate east of Teal Lake Village and amending the district map referred to in Section 42-204 of the Code of the City of Mexico, Missouri zoning to R3A Multiple Family District. I move for second reading by title only of Bill number 2022-50.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2022-50, an ordinance rezoning 7.03 acres located to the immediate east of Teal Lake Village and amending the district map referred to in Section 42-204 of the Code of the City of Mexico, Missouri, zoning to R3A Multiple Family District. I move for approval of Bill number 2022-50.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Next item is 2022-51, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission amendment to state block. Is that supposed to be block and not black? State block grant agreement. Amendment number 1 to assist in design runway 6 displacement threshold, runway 6/24 edge lighting replacement and pavement repairs at the Mexico Memorial Airport. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. As a part of the project at the airport for the runway displacement threshold, this is going to give us an opportunity to get more funding to help us complete that project. Cover the details, Russell Runge.
Evening, Council. Yes, as was mentioned, this is an ordinance to approve the city manager to sign this through the state block grant program. This is an additional $353,000 and some change. The city's amount would be 10%, which would be roughly $33,000 of that. This would be for the ongoing projects of which we've already approved in the past for the edge lighting, for the displacement of the threshold, and for some crack sealing as well that would be done. Anybody have any questions on this? Because I think we've gone through it ad nauseum so much. But yeah, I would ask for two readings by title only.
What? So I've got to go see these. We've talked about these for a year and a half. When will they be done?
we got the project let, the portions of it. So they're going to be moving on it this fall yet, as far as construction?
Yes.
All
That's the
right.
plan.
All right. I'm going to see them lit up.
Yeah.
We've talked about them. We've talked about them a lot, so.
It's a lot more than just repainting, crack sealing, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of repositioning that has to be done, a lot of different avionics, if you will, that need to take place to adjust things. So,
Good deal.
The best way for you to see it is we'll have to hook you up with the airport manager and get you up at night in a plane.
There you go.
And let you come in and see them.
that's what it's.
Go on one of those Zenith
I mean, the city doesn't have a jet, its own
No.
jet? Oh.
Check with the radio station, she'll tell you all about the airport.
I move first reading of bill number 2022-21-51.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams. Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2022-51, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission amendment to state block grant agreement amendment number 1 to assist with design runway 6, displace threshold runway 624, edge lighting replacement, and pavement repairs at the Mexico Memorial Airport. I move for second reading of bill number 2022.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2022-51, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission amendment to the state block grant agreement amendment number 1 to assist with design runway 6, displace threshold runway 624, edge lighting replacement, and pavement repairs at the Mexico Memorial Airport. I move for passage.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Number 6, item A, bill number 2022-52, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into agreement with M&K Rail Construction LLC for on-call rail inspection and maintenance services. Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Your Honor. As part of the rail that we have into the business park, as the owners of that, we have ongoing maintenance, and we've done it somewhat year by year, and this will give us a multi-year so we can look at projects over a lengthier period and make sure they're being coordinated better. To cover the details of the agreement, in this case, we'll go to Drew Wilford.
Good evening, council. I'm going to try to do this without coughing. I apologize here. The city recently advertised for on-call rail and inspection maintenance services for our nearly 3,200 feet of industrial rail spur. And as part of that work, we are asking that the contractor, the award bidder, inspect our track at least twice annually and provide economic development with a list of required maintenance activities. And then we will evaluate that, look what's in our budget, and then conduct the work. When we did this, submitted an advertisement in the Mexico Ledger. We also reached out to prior bidders on our industrial rail spur projects and then also advertised on our city website. We received a total of 4 interested bidders. They submitted costs by line item. This is a little different than your typical total project cost. So we evaluated project cost as one of them, line item cost, shall I say that, and also qualifications. And we found that M&K Rail was deemed to be the best bid. It is noted here that it is not the lowest bid. Spike Construction LLC, who has done work for the City of Mexico, was the low bid. There were some insurance issues that arose when we were in discussions with them, and that disqualified the bid. So at this point, we are moving forward with recommending M&K Rail as the city's on-call, what I'll say, inspection and maintenance services contractor. And this is somewhat of a first step here towards construction that we would hope to begin issuing to them next, I would say this fall, next month perhaps. I've already talked with them and they're interested in coming in to do an inspection, most likely the first or second week of October is what they're looking at. So with that, I'd recommend proceeding by reading the title only of passage. The attached resolution, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
How many businesses actively use the rail?
2 to 3, I would say. somewhere in that range.
Predominantly one at this point uses it the most, which is Cyril Coburn.
Cerro, Arch, and then might just be 2.
And Arch doesn't use it much, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, on call, I'm assuming that, I think like emergency, is there a lot of emergency stuff that happens on that rail? Or is it just like they report something and we just need to get?
they report something, we got to look at it, and a lot of it's about insurance issues, because railroad insurance issues, if they aren't taken care of quickly and there's an accident, then that becomes a bigger problem. And so that's what they mean by, so if they spot something, we need to get somebody out there fairly quickly to make sure with the safety issues and if there's any repairs.
Pleasure of the board.
I move for reading bill number 2022-52.
Haig,
Yes.
Briggs, Shivers,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2022-52, a resolution authorizing city manager to enter into an agreement with M&K Rail Construction LLC for on-call rail inspections and maintenance services. I move for passage of bill number 2022-52.
Haig,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Next item is bill number 2022-53, a resolution adopting a lease capitalization threshold for implementation of Governmental Accounting Standard Board, GASB, statement number 87, leases for the city of Mexico, Missouri. Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Your Honor. As part of the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, they make rulings regularly regarding how you should account for certain things. Seems like they pass these practices a lot more frequently than they used to, with a lot more detail that you begin to wonder. But anyway, we're up to number 87 now, and we need to look at that as part of our accounting practices. And to cover the details, Roger Haynes.
I'm very happy to bring to you this exciting accounting update. Effective for fiscal year 2022, GASB Statement 87, leases, establishes a single model for lease accounting based on the principle that leases are financing of the right to use an asset. Under new lease accounting principle, leases will recognize a lease liability as an intangible right to use asset, and leasers will recognize a lease receivable and a deferred inflow of resources versus past accounting entries where lease operating expense and lease operating revenue is used. As a best practice, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board recommends an entity establish a dollar threshold for which a lease is to be considered as material and financial scope, and then based on that threshold, establish mere lease or leasee accounting rather than recording applicable lease transactions as revenue and expenses. Currently under GASB 34, capitalization of assets for the City of Mexico to non-expendable purchases of $5,000 or more that have an estimated life of 2 years or greater. So at $5,000, we start capitalizing that and listed in our assets. As a matter of consistency, staff believes it practical for implementation of GASB 87 to establish a lease value threshold where the annual lease value attains $5,000 or more for any qualifying lease, and the lease term is of 2 years or greater, whether the city is the leasee or leaseor. By all accounts, this dollar and term threshold statement is conservative, but is manageable given the low number of leases the city currently has in effect. Staff does recommend council proceed with the reading and passage of the attached resolution establishing a lease value threshold in response to Governmental Accounting Standards GASB 87. And just as an update, they are already over GASB 100 at this point, so we have several more to go.
How much do these cost?
They just cost time and effort.
Time and effort, okay.
Yeah, time and effort.
Pleasure of the board.
I move for reading of bill number 2022-53.
Second.
Haig,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Next item, oh, excuse me, that's right.
She's got to read it.
You gotta read it.
Bill number 2022-53, a resolution adopting a lease capitalization threshold for implementation of Governmental Accounting Standards Board, GASB, statement number 87, leases for the city of Mexico, Missouri. I move for passage.
Second.
Hay.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. It's just whenever Roger gets up there, he
I
talks
know,
so
we're just
long,
like-
I forget what we're doing, you know? And it means so much.
Still love, don't you?
Bill number 2022-54, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Instaform Technology USA LLC for the 2022 CIPB project. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, this is for our cast-in-place pipe project for lining sewer mains. This is our annual project, and we've taken bids, and to cover the bids, Drew Williver.
Council, I think this may be a good example of a carryover project, if I'm not mistaken, where it's $250,000 that was allocated for this fiscal year, but is going to be spent, so to speak, next year, even though it will be carried over. We did have I'll say CIPP project number 1 earlier in this fiscal year, and that was due to results found from the Dukes 360 program, which has been a very good program, found 2 major sources of inflow and infiltration. We were able to do that project thanks to the Missouri Buy Board site, which is a statewide cooperative procurement site. This time, though, we've got a much larger project planned, and we put out advertisements in Mexico Ledger on September 3rd. We also sent an email out to potential bidders and posted this on the city's website. We received 2 bids back, with In Situ Form Technologies of Chesterfield being the best and lowest bid for $250,820. This work includes both lining of the city's sanitary sewer mains, also lining of manholes. So it includes both. And for that price, for that work, it's needed work, we're recommending council award the contract to In Situ Form Technologies. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
Is this the result of that GPS system we threw down there and found out like during, was it a few months back? When they run through there and found out when it rained and stuff, how much flowed through there?
The first one of this year was a direct result of that. They found 2 specific locations. This one is not so much. We actually haven't sort of got the results back yet. We sort of haven't got through. We're kind of in the mid-process right now. But yes, that's where we're going, is we're trying to use that data to figure out where we need to line at on top of, right now, we primarily use our camera. We have a camera that'll crawl through the mains and...
Questions?
I'll move for reading of bill number 2022-54.
Second.
Hay.
Yes.
Briggs. Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2022-54, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with In Situ Form Technologies USA LLC for the 2022 CIPP project. I move for passage. Bill number 2022-54.
Second.
Hay.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Next item is the payment of the claims.
Make a motion to pay the bills?
Second.
Hay.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Next item is comments from the council. We'll begin with Mr. Hague.
I guess we went pretty quick over the last month or so, and so I guess we skimmed over it. But thanks to the department heads for all the work you guys did on the budget, and Roger, you're getting with Bruce and giving us a great budget and working with the council to work out issues we thought we needed to address this year. So I appreciate the hard work, and I tell people all the time, I know we raise sewer rates or we do something like that, but I think what people get for their tax dollar, I think they have good people overseeing how it is spent, and it's spent very effectively and efficiently, and so I appreciate that, and I try to tell people that, and of course, I guess some of them don't believe me or do, but I appreciate all the hard work. So I know I didn't get to say that while we were doing our long budget meetings and stuff, but we do appreciate it, and thanks again for doing that.
Mr. Williams.
well said. But I'm going to single out another one because in today's society, unless you're in a hole in the ground, all you hear about nowadays is a lot of crime and stuff. And I just want to commend the chief and her officers that I feel like I live in a very safe community, and that's thanks to you guys, you know, and you guys don't get thanked enough for that, and I appreciate that. And second of all, I see these bids and on, it always says the Ledger, and nothing against the Ledger, but, I mean, the readership of the Ledger is not what it used to be. So, is there somewhere else we can be putting stuff out at? I mean, not just for this, but what about for, like, jobs and stuff? I mean, what are we doing for that? Because I'm thinking, like, in my head, for, like, police, I'm like, I don't know if you ain't been paying attention, but there's a lot of Illinois police officers looking to leave pretty quick, and that's not very far of a move for some of those people. And there's all kinds of websites, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, all that stuff, and all I really see is Ledger and Facebook, you know? And I'm like, I know it costs a little money, but maybe it's money well spent.
No, we have expanded where we advertise considerably in the last 3, 4, 5 years because of what you're talking about. And we do recognize, the readership is down considerably, and we don't find a lot of our candidates, obviously. The problem that we have is it's still part of the requirements in most cases from public notices and all that. It's a requirement that we have to do. And that's an argument even that the Municipal League has made a number of times, especially at the state legislature level, by saying, is this even practical anymore? And we need probably a lot more discussion at that state level to say, is this really where it should be? Because even if you changed it, let's say you took it to the Columbia paper or something, would that be any better? No.
I don't know that any paper would be better. I think it's more people are online looking for that stuff.
But we've changed a lot how we specially advertise for jobs and so on. And for projects, we do use the buy board. We have a fairly extensive list of people that we've used before. They'll call in, and can we be on the list and all that. So,
What are some of the places we're using for
I think the best example was, Rita, can you give us example of the ones you just listed this morning as a great example for our building inspector and all the different places? Maybe you don't have your notes with you, but...
I don't have my notes with me, but I do know that we did go to some of our professional, like the ICC, the International Code Council. We sent it to the APWA,
MML.
Handshake.
That's good. That's good, because I know when I was talking to Andy, one of the things that he was saying, that he didn't think that we, he said he had only heard by word of mouth, but he hadn't seen it in some of those things when he had first applied.
Yeah, so we try to use a lot of those now.
That's good.
That's all I got.
That's all you got. Mrs. Riggs?
Well, I got the last COVID, the most recent COVID vaccine, but it was about 2 days too late, so I got the COVID, and I would recommend everybody get vaccinated and stay well and be careful.
Dr. Shivers?
Well, I think everyone else has said pretty much everything. It's just, we appreciate everything that everyone is doing, and I'm excited that we're going to have some more affordable housing that's coming, because I know that is something that is needed as we're trying to grow our community. Now, if we can just get a hospital, we'll be good to go.
One big problem we need solved.
Mr. Slagle?
That's all I have. That's what I got.
Okay, at this time, if the public would like to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address, try to hold the comment for 3 minutes. Seeing no one approach, I move we adjourn into executive session pursuant to the revised statutes of Missouri, 610-021, 3 personnel matters.
Second.
Miller,
Yes?
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.